Hey, what's going on? How is everybody doing? I gotta fix my posture. My desk is set up a certain kind of way. It ain't really set up for me doing these lives like this. But hey, I just wanted to check in. I usually, when I do a straight talk, I try to do it earlier in the day, but that didn't happen today. My day was a little disrupted, but that's okay. Then that's what happens when you work for somebody else. You don't make the day. So, but yes, so today is going to be a little different. This Straight Talk Tuesday is going to be a little different because I was looking over one of my podcasts, and if you have not listened to my podcast, the Life Diet 365 podcast, episode 11, I did that on May 26th. It was about your emotions. And I think that, and then I had something to happen to me, and I was having a conversation with someone last night, and I was saying, I said, I just have to sit in the emotion. And I believe that, and I'm always encountering people who are, or things happen, they're upset, they're frustrated, or what have you, and they will, it's like we try to suppress. We try to suppress being angry. We try to suppress being hurt. We suppress just wanting to just knock somebody out. Well, yeah, you should suppress that. No violence. But we just try to suppress it and appear to the world or appear to our circle or friends and family or coworkers that we're okay or that we're cool with it and it's not bothering us when it actually is. And what many of us don't seem to realize, and I've said this a dozen times in some of my lives, and I've heard it in other lives, is that, all of these things that we experience, our emotions and our fears and our anger and all of those things, if we don't deal with those things appropriately and we keep suppressing it, then it does have an impact on our body. It has an impact on our health. And, I always try to tell people, you don't have to try to be a superhero. Last I checked, I wasn't getting a check for being a superwoman. I wasn't getting a check, no dividends, for saving, people from my feelings and all this other stuff. And I'm like, no, like we have to, that's all a part of self-care. And that's what, let me see here. Last week's podcast was about, you don't have to take it. It's about self-care. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I was having a conversation with someone last night and we were talking about, sitting in your emotions. And I had something to happen last week. It wasn't devastating or earth-shattering, but something happened. Someone made a decision about something, and not that I needed to be a part of the decision. I wanted to just be informed about the decision. And it was a major decision, and I was not informed, and the decision was made, which I was okay with that. But it was just that my feelings were hurt. And, as I started talking to my husband and my family about it, I was trying to say, yeah, I'm okay. It doesn't matter. And then I had to stop myself. And I stopped myself mid-sentence. And I said, no, I'm not okay with this. I am not okay with this. I'm hurt. I don't understand why, I wouldn't be included in the conversation. It was all of this. And when I tell you that it made a difference as to how I processed the situation, it really made a difference. Because when we try to pretend that we're okay, we try to pretend that nothing is bothering us, well, what ends up happening is you're still sitting there stewing about it and internalizing what's going on, or internalizing your feelings and internalizing your questions, your frustration, your anger, and your pistivity, as Bernie Mac would say. And you're getting a headache, you have an upset stomach, your appetite is gone. You start feeling your things pulsating, at a rapid rate. All of these things are starting to happen to your body. And although they may seem like little minute things and it doesn't matter, hey there, they do matter, and it does impact you. So, one of the things, and I looked it up because I wanted to make sure I articulated this properly. So I said, what does it mean to sit in your emotions? And so I Googled it, and it said, because, I don't be trying to act like I come up with everything. Sitting with our emotions simply means allow them to happen. So if you're angry, allow it to happen. If you're hurt, allow it to happen. That's why God gave us emotions. That's why he gave us feelings, because it's an expression. It's an outward expression. So it simply means allowing them, resisting the urge to get rid of them, and not judging ourselves for having the emotions. And so that's what I thought was really, really key when I read this, because with what happened to me last week, I was really, really hurt. And as I sat through my work day, I actually had to sit through 3 work days because it happened Wednesday. It wasn't a work-related issue, because I have people on here who are coworkers, and people are always trying to figure out if you're talking about them at work. If you're new to this, I don't talk about stuff at work. If I do, you'll absolutely know it. But I had to sit through it, and I felt bad for myself for feeling bad. Is that crazy? Has anybody ever experienced, like, I felt bad for myself for feeling bad, and then now that's a whole nother emotion, that I put on top of the experience that I'm experiencing. And I literally, when I tell you, I had to pump the brakes on that, and I said, no, I'm not judging myself for feeling bad. I feel this way because this is how I feel. And this is what we have to help people in our lives to understand. I feel this way because this is my experience with what's happening. And when you help people to understand that this is your experience with it, or you understand that this is your experience with that, it really helps you to dissect and digest what's happening. Because if you dissect it, you're putting into smaller pieces. That's you all the time. That's what's you all the time, Eb. When you dissect it, that means that you're putting it into smaller pieces where you could digest. You don't take a whole steak, if you eat steak, and just eat the whole steak. You cut it into small pieces so that you're able to take the bite-sized pieces. And that's how we have to dissect when we're experiencing, some form of emotion that we're going through. So then, I was in my emotion, I was in my feelings, and I started reading a book Friday night. And the book just kind of just opened up all kinds of things. It had nothing to do with what I was dealing with. And I immediately stopped feeling bad because I feel bad. No, you got to stop that. Yeah, you got to stop that. Don't feel bad because you feel bad. And that's why I wanted to do this video, because we need to understand that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to sit in our emotions. Because when you sit in it and you kind of process what's going on, you process what you're feeling, you try to weigh, am I overreacting? And then you can say, yes, you're overreacting. And then you can say, well, how do I underreact? I don't even know if that's a real word, but that's what we need to do. And I constantly hear you in the back of my head. That's right. You need to hear me. And so, I'm reading this book, and immediately I sat at my computer and I put my head in my hands and I started crying. And because I felt myself trying to suppress the feelings or suppress the tears, because like when you cry, for me, I'm like, that's a sign of weakness. And I had to learn that is a form of transparency and healing. And I was like, you ain't no punk. Why are you crying? And I'm like, no, I'm going to be a punk right now. I'm going to get through this. And while I was doing that, I said a prayer and released the situation. And then the next day, I get the phone call that, I would have expected to get, earlier. And there was some misunderstanding, and, hey there, Nissa. And the person had no way, they said they weren't able to get in touch with me. But here was my prayer. I said, please, touch their heart and have them to reach out to someone that they know that knows me. And that's exactly what happened. And so once I finished, crying having my head in my hands and just, shedding some tears, I absolutely released it and I felt better. And so the whole purpose of what I'm trying to say to you is it is okay to feel how you feel. If you're locking it in, like, that is a form of emotional constipation. That is emotional constipation, because then what happens when some small, minute thing happens, then you start verbally or even physically wailing on another person that is not deserving of that range or that rage of emotion that's coming out. So like it says here, it says sitting with our emotions simply means allowing them, resisting the urge to get rid of the pain, and not judging ourselves for having these emotions. And so whatever it is that you may be experiencing, even right now, even with what we're going through, sit in how you feel. And then while you're sitting in there, sitting in those emotions, ask for guidance, ask for direction, ask how should I feel coming out of this? What should I do? There is a responsibility, because even when someone else makes you angry and someone else hurts you, there is still a responsibility that you have to yourself, not to the other person. You have the responsibility to yourself. And so I knew that I didn't want to spend the next few days yes, I didn't want to spend the this happened the middle of last week. I was not trying to spend the whole weekend, just bound up and just being, I needed to release that. And so it's okay. So, and I think it was your post, Ebony, where I said something about, you don't have to be a superwoman. Who says that you have to be a superwoman? Like, we're already super women because of the stuff that we do. There are things that most people can't do that really strong women do, and we do it with ease. And guess what? When I don't feel like doing that, I don't feel bad that I can't do it, because I'm already so extra any other time, if that makes sense. And so I don't have to prove to you that I'm wonderful. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good mom. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good wife, a good friend, good coworker, or whatever, because I'm extraordinary on other times. And days when I'm not feeling it, then I have a right not to feel it. I have a right not to feel it. And it's okay. It is okay. And we've got to stop allowing the people, in our circle and in our environment to push us into a way they want us to feel. That's not fair. I don't care who it is, whether it's a parent, it's a child, your spouse, a friend, whoever. They do not have the right to push you into an emotion that that's not you. It's what they want. And so what I want to leave with you is sit in it, process it. If you know that there's something that you've pushed way down, then I would suggest digging down and finding now if there's some real deep childhood stuff, that I'm telling you to get a therapist, because I always say I am not a therapist. I'm just giving you my humble opinion of what I feel that I know from my experiences and how, when I speak to other people. But sit and say, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And now what am I going to do about it? Because like I said, the responsibility is ultimately yours to do something about how you feel. It's about self-care. And if you don't care about yourself as much or more than you care about the other people in your life, then you are deficient. You yourself are lacking. You yourself, you're not getting enough of self-nutrients. And I think that that's important. And I'm going to tell you, I felt, you my therapist, and don't even for a long time, huh, Eb? For a long time. And so you just have to say, you know what? This is how I feel. And unless you can provide me with some tools, to help me navigate through this, then allow me to kind of feel this, and prayerfully I'll get the direction, that I need. But you don't have to say, no, nothing's wrong. I'm good. I'm good. Or you do the attitude. No, I got this. Whatever. But you still mad. You still mad. And so I'm just trying to say, take care of you. And I believe that's what my podcast is going to focus on this month, is self-care. because I believe that we need self-care, and my heart is actually burdened right now for parents who are having to juggle the whole remote learning. And I'm working with some people to try to come up with some solutions for families. So please stay tuned for that. I'll make sure I post it enough time and let you know how, what we're trying to do to help serve some of those families. So thank you so much for listening. And again, the emotions and what you feel, and if you're suppressing those things, you're only harming yourself. It's okay to tell someone how you feel. And when you say, you should not say, let me just say this. You shouldn't say, you made me feel this way. Because that's too much power you're putting on somebody else, that they can make you feel a certain way. You have to try to look at it as, this is my experience. And so whenever I have some type of ought or issue with someone, I'm always trying to be cognizant where I say, my experience with this person has been this, or this is my experience, or this is what I heard you say. And what I heard you say, it conflicts with, how I do things, or any principles, or this, is that, and the other. And you can disagree. So just agree to disagree. Don't try to convince somebody else your way. Convince them of your way. Accept your way. Your way that may not even be right, but accept your way and be able to move on. And so don't say, you made me feel. You're going to say, well, this is my experience. If someone says something that, like I said, that you don't like, or they do something that you don't appreciate, and you could just say, I really did not appreciate what you did, because that caused me to have this type of experience. Because when you say, you made me feel, you're giving somebody too much power, and we just don't want to do that. We want to keep our power, because when we keep our power, then it helps us to stand firm in our boundaries. Because when you have your power, then you're able to stand flat-footed in your boundaries and know when someone crosses the line. You can say, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. Then you know what? We just can't do anything with each other right now. Oh, no, I'm going to go this way. No, I'm going to do this. And then you feel good about it. So get your boundaries. Get your boundaries in place. And that's why it's so important. That's why I'm always, in my book, The Life Diet 365, I always talk about what I know that I won't do. So when I know what I won't do, it makes it easy for the wills. Because there's a small window, but it's a lot of things in there that will not, but they kind of fall into categories that I will not do, or I will not put up with. And so when those things come at me, that's why you've got to be so aware. And I'm getting into this desire to learn more about mindfulness. We use the word a lot. I'm very mindful of this. I'm very mindful of this. I'm very mindful. Or we use the word mindless. Yeah, I'm watching some mindless TV. And I think we do that a lot. Mindlessness on social media. And so I'm focusing on mindfulness, because when you focus on mindfulness, you're actually practicing being in the moment. So I'm in the current moment. I'm in the now. I'm not in what happened 5 minutes ago, and I'm not anticipating what's going to happen 12 minutes from now. I'm in the now. So when you focus on mindfulness, it makes you more aware. It makes you keen. It helps you to better process what's happening at the moment. Because, for instance, the other day I was going to get me some breakfast. And I go to work the same way because I like to drive like Mario Andretti on this stretch of road, because there's nobody out at this time. And I was just doing my thing past the turn for me to go to the place to get my breakfast. It was mindlessness, because my subconscious, which I talk about that in another podcast, my subconscious was driving me. My conscious wasn't. But I was still behind the wheel. I was still looking at the road. But my subconscious, which is familiar with where I go because I've already programmed it. Oh, y'all got to check out that episode. It's episode 17. So my subconscious was driving me. And then when I made the turn, that's when I became mindful. And I was like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. So being mindful, I paid attention. I said, this is the exit I'm going to get off of. This is the turn I'm going to make. I was focused on the now. So I hope that gives you a good example of what I mean about being mindful. And so being mindful, it because have you this is funny. Has someone ever said something that you didn't like or something that you didn't appreciate and you didn't really catch it, and then you go back and you process what happened later and you're like, wait a minute, how did I miss that? I should have said, and then you may go back and say, wait a minute, I just thought about what you said. You weren't in the moment. There was something happening, but you weren't present in the moment. So didn't mean to get on that little tangent, but just wanted to kind of share that with you all. So just go, be you, do you. It's okay to not be okay, but we've been in this situation. I'm not gonna say long enough, but we've been in this situation for a period of time where we can kind of figure out how we're gonna pick up our pieces and move on. How are we gonna, move and transition and make the shift and pivot to the next thing? We can't continue to lay on the ground. For those of you who have taught children how to ride bikes, what do we do or ride roller skates? Back in my day it was roller skates and skateboard and all this other stuff. My child better not lay on that ground and just cry and cry and cry. I'm like, get up, get up off that ground and stop all that crying. Get up and try it again. And that's my message to you. You feel this way, sit in it, deal with it, find out how you're going to move on from there. And then now you just get on your little virtual bike and go and do the next thing. So thank you for checking out today's Straight Talk. It was more of like because usually Straight Talk, I'm like in your face about something. But I figure I'd be a little bit mild because people are going through a lot and I ain't trying to yell at you. I feel like it, but what's that going to do? So go ahead, deal with your emotions. And if you have not been checking out the podcast, I definitely encourage you to check out the podcast. It's really about life, and I'm just having a conversation where it allows, it to marinate and you to, kind of get some nuggets from it. So download your favorite episodes. Feel free to share it. I'm really excited because people are really listening, so I really, really appreciate what you all are doing. So thank you so much. There will be a new episode coming out this Thursday. I don't know what we're talking about. I can't remember what we're talking about. But hopefully you will tune in and feel free to share this video if you feel like it might help somebody. Feel free to share it. And thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts. I appreciate it. So, and put some comments in there, because if you have questions or you have something that you want to say, I'll definitely respond, and then other people respond, because we have to be a community. We have to be a community to kind of help people to get through, because, I may have gone through something and been able to navigate it, and it was easy breezy for me, but it's very difficult and it's very traumatic for other people. Just like saying no is traumatic for some people, but for me, it's like licking ice cream. I'm like, no, it's like licking ice cream. So thank you, Nissa. I appreciate it. So, and then I have a TEDx on that, The Gift of No. So go check that out. You can go to YouTube and search The Gift of No with my name, Suzanne Stroud. And it's 11 minutes. You can give me 11 minutes of your life for sure. So go and enjoy your evening. Take care. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.